Across the United States, something unsettling is happening. Once proud cities that symbolized America's prosperity are now standing on the brink of collapse. Streets once filled with opportunity now echo with uncertainty. The lights are still on, but behind those bright skylines, deep cracks are forming: economic, social, and financial. These cities aren't falling overnight. It's a slow, painful unraveling, where high costs, poor leadership, and vanishing opportunities push residents to pack up and leave. And as the people go, the lifeblood of these cities goes with them. Today, we're taking a hard look at 10 American cities that are on the edge of financial collapse. Cities where debt is mounting, businesses are fleeing, and hope is fading. Stay with me till the end, because you might be shocked by the one city topping this list. Number 10. Portland, Oregon. Once hailed as one of the most livable cities in America, Portland's story has taken a dramatic turn. Over the past few years, this Pacific Northwest gem has been struggling to maintain its reputation as a creative, green, and free-spirited city. The problem? A deadly mix of crime, homelessness, and vanishing tax revenue. As businesses shut down or relocate, the city's once thriving downtown has turned into a shell of what it used to be. Iconic stores, restaurants, and offices have boarded up, not because of a temporary downturn, but because they simply can't afford to stay. Analysts have described Portland's financial situation as structurally fragile, with an ever-shrinking tax base, rising pension obligations, and public safety challenges. The city is now juggling growing expenses with fewer people to pay for them. But it's not just about money, it's about confidence. When a city loses the confidence of its people, when locals stop believing in its future, that's when the real collapse begins. Many middle-class families are quietly leaving for neighboring cities like Salem or Vancouver, Washington, where housing is cheaper and streets feel safer. What's left behind is a cycle of decline, one that Portland is struggling to reverse. Number 9. San Francisco, California. Once the shining star of America's tech boom, San Francisco is now standing in the shadows of its former glory. The city that gave birth to world-changing innovation is now battling an identity crisis, and a financial one. Empty office towers dominate the skyline. Tech companies that once fought over space are now abandoning downtown in record numbers. A recent city report warned that commercial property values have plunged more than 30% since the pandemic. That's billions in lost revenue, and billions less in property taxes that fund essential city services. Meanwhile, the cost of living has made San Francisco nearly uninhabitable for the average worker. Rent for a modest one-bedroom apartment can easily cross $3,000 a month. Add to that soaring taxes, public safety concerns, and a visible homelessness crisis, and you have a city that feels like it's cracking under its own weight. Even worse, San Francisco's debt obligations and spending patterns haven't slowed down, creating what experts call a fiscal time bomb. Without a strong recovery in business activity, the city could face a multi-billion-dollar deficit within the next few years. Residents are fleeing to states like Texas, Idaho, and Nevada, places that offer a fraction of the cost and a sense of normalcy. Once considered the heartbeat of progress, San Francisco now feels like a cautionary tale of what happens when success turns unsustainable. Number 8. Chicago, Illinois. Chicago, the Windy City, has always been known for its grit, its skyline, and its spirit. But beneath the surface, the city is battling one of the worst financial crises in the nation. For years, Chicago's budget has been stretched thin by massive pension liabilities and a shrinking tax base. Even with new leadership and promises of reform, the math simply doesn't add up. Billions are owed in unpaid pension obligations, and every attempt to balance the books has led to higher taxes, driving even more residents and businesses away. In the past decade, Chicago's population has declined steadily, and thousands of middle-income families have relocated to neighboring states like Indiana and Wisconsin. The city's property taxes have skyrocketed, while public safety remains a major concern. Businesses, too, are voting with their feet. Some of the biggest companies that once called Chicago home have quietly moved their headquarters elsewhere, citing safety, costs, and a challenging business environment. Experts have repeatedly warned that Chicago's financial structure is unsustainable unless deep reforms are made. The scary part? Those reforms come with political costs no one seems willing to take. Still, Chicago keeps moving, perhaps out of habit, perhaps out of hope. But for how long can a city keep going when its debt rises faster than its dreams? And these are just the beginning. Because as we move deeper into this list, the warning signs only grow louder. Cities struggling to keep the lights on, neighborhoods hollowing out, and taxpayers reaching their breaking point. Up next, cities that were once symbols of industry and opportunity, now facing the kind of collapse no one thought possible. Number 7. New Orleans, Louisiana. New Orleans, the city of jazz, of parades, of life itself. But today, beneath the rhythm and color, there's a quiet desperation building. This once vibrant city, famous for its music, food, and festivals, is now drowning under the weight of crime, crumbling infrastructure, and an economy that can't seem to catch its breath. For years, New Orleans has faced a dangerous combination of high poverty rates, low employment opportunities, and one of the highest crime rates in the nation. But now there's another crisis hitting even harder: the insurance collapse. After multiple hurricanes and floods, major insurance companies are simply walking away. Homeowners are being dropped or priced out entirely. Some can't even sell their houses because buyers can't find coverage. Without insurance, property values plummet, and with them, the city's tax revenue. A growing number of residents are giving up and leaving for Houston, Dallas, or Atlanta, places where they can find work and stability. Locals describe it best. It feels like the soul of the city is still here, but the body is wearing out. That's what makes New Orleans' decline so heartbreaking. You can still hear the music in the French Quarter, still see the tourists taking pictures, but behind the beauty, the city is bleeding out slowly, financially, and socially. If something doesn't change, even the sound of jazz might not be enough to keep this city alive. Number 6, Baltimore, Maryland. Baltimore's story is one of deep history and deep struggle. Once a powerful industrial hub and a cornerstone of East Coast shipping, Baltimore is now facing a grim financial reality. The city's population has been shrinking for decades, dropping below 570,000, the lowest in over a century. Businesses have left, schools are closing, and the downtown core feels emptier each year. At the heart of the issue? A collapsing tax base. When middle-income families leave and low-income households remain, the city collects less money now, but still owes just as much to maintain aging infrastructure and public pensions. Add to that one of the highest violent crime rates in America, and Baltimore is now in what some analysts call a death spiral. As more people leave, the city raises taxes to stay afloat. But those higher taxes drive even more people out. It's a loop that keeps spinning, and no one seems able to stop it. There's a painful irony here. Baltimore's location should make it a success story, near D.C., near the coast, full of historic character. Yet for many, it's no longer the city of opportunity. Locals whisper that Baltimore feels like a tale of two cities, one trying to rebuild and another quietly giving up. Number 5, St. Louis, Missouri. St. Louis was once the crown jewel of the Midwest, a booming industrial and cultural center with promise stretching as far as the Mississippi River itself. But today, much of that promise feels like a ghost. The numbers tell a chilling story. St. Louis has lost nearly half its population since its peak in the mid-20th century. Entire neighborhoods have become empty lots or crumbling shells of homes long abandoned. The reasons are layered. Decades of job losses, violent crime, and local government mismanagement have pushed the city to the edge. But the deeper issue is psychological. Many lifelong residents say St. Louis has lost something even more valuable than money: hope. The local economy has stagnated while taxes continue to climb. Businesses that once defined the region have shut down or relocated. A growing number of families are leaving for Kansas City, Nashville, or even farther south, searching for better schools, safer streets, and a more promising future. Meanwhile, the city's debt keeps rising, and pension systems are struggling to stay solvent. Urban experts warn that without significant reform, St. Louis could face a municipal financial crisis within the next decade, the kind that ends in bankruptcy or federal intervention. The saddest part? St. Louis still has the bones of greatness: the beautiful brick homes, the old architecture, the history. It's all there. But no one seems to know how to bring it back to life. Number 4, Los Angeles, California. And now we head west, to a city that's still shining on the surface, but trembling underneath. Los Angeles has always been the city of dreams, where people come to reinvent themselves, to chase fame, fortune, and freedom. But lately, those dreams are turning into something darker. The city's homeless crisis has reached historic levels. Tents line sidewalks just blocks away from million-dollar condos. Entire neighborhoods have become unsafe to walk through at night. And while the city keeps promising reform, the results never seem to come fast enough. Financially, the city is facing what experts call a perfect storm: a massive housing affordability crisis, declining commercial occupancy, falling tax revenue, and enormous public debt. Meanwhile, thousands of residents, especially working professionals and retirees, are leaving the state. They're moving to Arizona, Nevada, and Texas, where taxes are lower and the cost of living is manageable. And as they leave, they take billions of dollars of income with them. Economists warn that if this outmigration continues, Los Angeles could face one of the worst urban financial contractions in modern history. Because when the middle class leaves, when the people who make a city function vanish, collapse isn't just possible, it's inevitable. Hollywood's lights are still bright, but the city's finances are flickering. Los Angeles may not fall in a single moment, but the cracks in its foundation are spreading faster than most realize. Number 3, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Once known as the City of Lakes, Minneapolis used to symbolize the American Midwest dream: peaceful neighborhoods, friendly communities, and economic promise. But today, that dream is fading fast. The aftermath of the 2020 riots left more than just burned buildings. It left scars on the city's identity. Downtown businesses boarded up. Families who had lived there for generations quietly packed up and left. And what was once the shining heart of Minnesota's economy now feels eerily hollow. Crime rates have surged to levels the city hasn't seen in decades. In 2023 alone, violent crimes were nearly 40% higher than pre-pandemic averages, and carjackings became so common that residents started installing cameras on every corner just to feel safe. Even police officers, those who were supposed to protect the streets, began leaving the force in record numbers. And then came the economic shock. Major corporations like Target and Wells Fargo cut back their downtown operations. Small businesses, coffee shops, restaurants, bookstores. The soul of the city couldn't survive the shrinking foot traffic. The result? Vacant storefronts and for lease signs now define what was once a thriving downtown. Property values have dropped, tax revenues are declining, and even longtime residents admit it feels like the city has lost its sense of direction. Add to that the harsh Minnesota winters and the growing homelessness crisis, and you get a perfect storm, a city that's not just struggling, but collapsing from within. The saddest part? Many who left say they loved Minneapolis, but the city they remember no longer exists. Number 2, Seattle, Washington. Once upon a time, Seattle was the crown jewel of the Pacific Northwest, the city of innovation, coffee, and dreams, the birthplace of tech giants, a city that turned rain and gray skies into an identity. But lately, Seattle feels tired. It feels broken. The streets once lined with trendy cafes and startups now echo with a different kind of noise, the kind that speaks of frustration, fear, and fatigue. Walk downtown today and you'll see luxury high-rises towering over tents and encampments. You'll see what happens when prosperity forgets to bring everyone along. Housing here has spiraled beyond control. The average home costs well over $900,000. And rent? Let's just say that many lifelong residents have already given up trying to stay. Families are packing their bags, heading east to Idaho, Montana, and even Utah, searching for what Seattle lost, affordability and peace. And while big tech once brought jobs and excitement, the layoffs that started in 2023 left scars that still haven't healed. Thousands of workers laid off, startups shuttered, offices empty. Even Amazon's downtown footprint, once a symbol of unstoppable growth, is shrinking. Crime and homelessness have become unavoidable topics. It's not about statistics anymore. It's about how the city feels. Once vibrant streets now feel unsafe after dark, and small business owners are tired of broken windows, theft, and waiting for change that never comes. Seattle's leaders promise progress, but the people are losing faith. They're leaving. Census data shows a quiet but steady population decline, especially among middle-income families. Many of them are moving to Boise, Austin, and Spokane, cities that still feel alive, cities that remind them of what Seattle used to be. Seattle is a reminder that even the brightest cities can fade when the balance between growth and humanity is lost. The Emerald City hasn't lost its beauty, but its shine. That's another story. Number 1, New York City, New York. At number 1, the city that never sleeps, but maybe should. New York has always been a symbol of power. Wall Street, Broadway, the skyline that defined ambition itself. But now, that symbol is cracking. For decades, New York survived every crisis, from 9/11 to the 2008 recession to the pandemic. But this time feels different. The post-pandemic exodus has left a permanent scar. Thousands of wealthy residents and major corporations have moved out, taking their money and tax revenue with them. Meanwhile, the city's budget is collapsing under the weight of skyrocketing costs, homelessness, and record-high migrant spending, estimated to surpass $12 billion by 2026. Office buildings are half empty. The commercial real estate market is on life support, and property tax revenue, the city's lifeline, is falling fast. Experts are already warning that if this trend continues, New York could face a debt crisis unlike anything since the 1970s. Back then, the city nearly went bankrupt. This time, it might not survive the same way. Crime has risen, subway ridership has fallen, and residents say the city feels different, darker, colder, less hopeful. New York is still the financial capital of the world, but its foundation is shaking, and if the city that leads America begins to fall, the rest of the nation won't be far behind. Beyond the list, the urban collapse. So, what's really happening? Why are America's greatest cities, the engines of progress, now teetering on the edge of collapse? The answer lies in a perfect storm of economic, political, and social decay. 1. The debt spiral. Decades of overspending and undersaving. Cities promised pensions, projects, and subsidies they could never truly afford. Now the bills are coming due. 2. The middle-class exodus. The people who built these cities, the workers, the teachers, the small business owners, are leaving. They're moving to smaller towns or red states where taxes are lower and streets are safer. 3. The remote work revolution. COVID changed everything. Millions realized they didn't need to live in big cities anymore. The result? Empty downtowns, abandoned offices, and collapsing property values. 4. The crime and homelessness crisis. When safety disappears, so does investment. People won't shop, work, or live where they don't feel safe. 5. Political paralysis. City leaders keep blaming each other instead of fixing the system. The deeper the hole gets, the more divided and frozen they become. And here's the dark truth. Once the cycle starts, decline, debt, flight, and decay, it's almost impossible to stop. What experts are saying. Economists from Moody's and the Brookings Institution warn that if these trends continue, several major U.S. cities could face fiscal crises by 2026 to 2028. Some could even require federal bailouts, or be forced into bankruptcy like Detroit in 2013. But beyond the numbers, there's something deeper happening, a shift in the American dream itself. For generations, people believed that success meant moving to the city. Now, success means getting out. Small towns and mid-sized cities, places once overlooked, are rising again. Because people are realizing something powerful. Freedom, safety, and community matter more than glass towers and crowded streets. So as America's biggest cities crumble under their own weight, a new era is beginning. The map of opportunity is changing, and the winners might not be where you expect. Whether it's a quiet town in Idaho, a growing hub in Texas, or a hidden gem in the Carolinas, the future of America may no longer be built in skyscrapers, but in simplicity, strength, and survival. Because this isn't just an urban crisis. It's a turning point, one that will decide the next chapter of the American story.